In March of 2019, Netflix revived viral interest in a decade-old missing persons case with their documentary crime series, The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. Madeleine was a 4-year-old girl who was abducted from her bed while on vacation with her family in Portugal in the spring of 2007. Like in many such cases, Madeleine's disappearance was the subject of widespread speculation and interest, driving many to wonder if the tragic crime would ever be solved. Just this month, new information was released in the case, suggesting that police may be getting closer to naming a suspect. Though this is a promising development, definitive closure in a case of this kind after so many years is exceedingly rare. Similar missing persons cases often go unsolved. Today, we wanted to take a look at a few examples of such cases, focusing on unsolved disappearances that were chilling, mysterious, and in some circumstances seem to make no sense. Though there are countless examples that could have made this list, these are just a few that stood out to us. If there's a case you think we should know about, tell us about it in the comments section below, and we'll consider it for a future video. Before we get to our list, don't forget to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. With that out of the way, here is our list of 5 unsolved disappearances that will make you afraid to leave the house. Before February of 2004, 21-year-old Maura Murray seemed like an average university student. She was in her junior year of the nursing program at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She had a part-time job with the school's campus security, and she was in a long-term relationship with a man named Bill Gosch. But on February 9th, she would vanish without a trace. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Maura's behavior was confusing. On the one hand, she seemed to continue her normal routine, attending work and spending the day car shopping with her father on February 7th. She also exchanged messages with her boyfriend Bill and sent emails to several of her friends talking about an upcoming comedy show she was excited to attend. However, in the early morning hours of the day of her disappearance, Maura's computer records show that she searched for directions to the Berkshires. She later called the owner of a condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire, inquiring about rentals, as well as another number providing hotel booking in Vermont. Though these details are not necessarily strange on their own, they look somewhat suspicious when considering what happened next. Around 1:30 in the afternoon, Maura emailed a work supervisor of the nursing school faculty saying she would be out of town for a week due to a death in the family. No such death had occurred. She also packed up most of the belongings in her dorm room, leaving everything behind except for some clothing, toiletries, college textbooks, and her birth control pills. On top of the boxes in her room was a printed email to her boyfriend that seemed to suggest trouble in their relationship. She left the university campus just after 3:30 that afternoon, as classes had been canceled due to a snowstorm. Maura's banking records revealed that she withdrew $280 from an ATM shortly after leaving the university. CCTV footage showed her buying $40 worth of liquor from a nearby store, and that she was alone when she made the purchase. She also picked up accident report forms from the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles for an incident that had occurred just days before. Between 4 and 5 p.m., she left Amherst, traveling north on Interstate 91. Around 7 o'clock that evening, Maura's car hit a snowbank in Woodsville, New Hampshire. Witnesses reported that she looked startled, but appeared to be unharmed. A school bus driver passing the scene of the accident asked her if she needed assistance, but she refused, saying that she had already called AAA. When the bus driver returned home, he called the police, but when they arrived on the scene, Maura was nowhere to be found. Upon searching the vehicle, police discovered that Maura's cell phone and debit and credit cards were missing, as well as some of the liquor she had purchased. They also claimed that it looked like whoever was in the vehicle had been consuming alcohol, though the bus driver who had originally seen her claimed that Maura did not appear to be impaired. The last possible sighting of Maura was approximately an hour and a half later on the side of a road, though this was never confirmed. Although a substantial search of the area was conducted utilizing tracking and cadaver dogs, as well as a helicopter equipped with a thermal imaging camera, no trace of Maura could be found. Several subsequent searches of the area in the years since have also failed to turn up any new leads. Maura's strange disappearance remains a mystery.
Asha Degree lived with her parents and older brother in the town of Shelby, North Carolina. The 9-year-old was described as cautious and shy, coming from a protective home where life mostly revolved around family, church, and school. However, in the early morning hours of February 14, 2000, she mysteriously vanished, seemingly by choice. The weather was particularly bad that night, and the power had gone out early in the evening. This is important because it established a timeline as to when Asha had first gone missing. Her father checked on both her and her brother when the power came back around 12:30 in the morning, finding them both asleep in their beds. He checked on both children again around 2:30 before also going to sleep. Both Asha and her brother were still in their beds. Shortly after that, Asha's brother heard slight movement coming from her side of the room, though assumed she was just changing positions in her sleep. However, it appears that during this time, Asha was actually packing her book bag with several sets of clothes and personal items before leaving the house. The last time Asha was seen was a little more than an hour later, between 3:45 and 4:15 in the morning. She was spotted by both a truck driver and another motorist while walking along North Carolina's Highway 180. The man in the car thought it was strange for someone so young to be out that hour, especially in such bad weather. When he attempted to turn around, though, Asha ran into the woods. By 6:30 in the morning, Asha's parents knew something was seriously wrong. A search of the neighborhood by family and friends had also started around 7 a.m. Local police also quickly got involved, and thousands of man-hours were poured into the search. A day later, candy wrappers, a pencil, and a Mickey Mouse hair bow were found in a shed at a nearby business. The business was close to the highway where Asha had last been seen running into the woods. Though the search was aided by segments on popular TV programs such as The Montel Williams Show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and America's Most Wanted, leads in the case failed to turn up anything concrete. More than a year later, in August of 2001, the last real piece of evidence was found. Asha's book bag was discovered in a nearby construction site, though there was no trace of where she might have gone, nor any human remains found at the site. In the years since, clues in this case have been sporadic. Police are still looking for a 1970s Lincoln Mark IV or Thunderbird that Asha may have gotten into on the morning of her disappearance. In 2018, investigators also released details of 2 items found in Asha's book bag that they didn't believe belonged to her at the time of her disappearance. One is a Dr. Seuss book from her elementary school library, and the other is a concert t-shirt from the band New Kids on the Block. So far, neither clue has resulted in a major break in the case. To this day, no one has any idea what could have caused the 9-year-old to pack up her belongings and head out into the dark, inhospitable weather on that February morning.
On the morning of September 20th, 1988, Tara Calico set off on a bike ride along New Mexico State Road 47. It was a route that the 19-year-old traveled almost every day, sometimes accompanied by her mother. In an ominous bit of foreshadowing, Tara's mother had stopped going on the rides with her daughter after she felt that she was being stalked by a motorist. She had suggested that Tara start to take Mace with her, but she refused. On that September morning, Tara left the house around 9:30, telling her mother that she should come and get her if she was not home by noon, as she had plans to play tennis with her boyfriend shortly after. When she did not return from her ride, her mother went searching along Tara's bike route, but could find no trace of her. She contacted the police shortly afterwards. Though several witnesses came forward, no one had actually seen an abduction taking place. Instead, the only lead seemed to be a light-colored pickup truck with a camper shell that had been seen closely following Tara that morning. Her Walkman was also discovered along her bike route the day after her disappearance. Tara's mother said that she believed her daughter may have dropped the Walkman in an attempt to leave a clue behind. The next major piece of information in the case came almost a year later, when a disturbing Polaroid photo was discovered in the parking lot of a convenience store in Port St. Joe, Florida. The photo was discovered in the spot where a white windowless Toyota cargo van had been previously parked. In it, a young woman and boy are shown gagged with duct tape and seem to be restrained. The van was reportedly driven by a man with a mustache, believed to be in his 30s. At the time, the missing boy in the photo was thought to be Michael Henley, who had also gone missing in New Mexico in 1988. Though this turned out not to be the case, analysis conducted on the evidence could neither confirm nor exclude the possibility that the woman in the photo was Tara. In the years since, there have been few significant developments in the case, with one notable exception. In 2008, a local police sheriff claimed that he had evidence that Tara had been accidentally hit by a truck. He said the vehicle had been driven by 2 boys who knew her, and that they had panicked and covered up the crime. However, the sheriff said he could not lay any charges without a body. The announcement was criticized by members of Tara's family, especially since no information substantiating the claims was ever released. The whereabouts of Tara Calico, as well as the truth behind the disturbing Polaroid, remain unknown.
Brandon Lawson was a 26-year-old oil worker from Texas. He lived with his fiancée, Ladessa Lofton, and their 3 children, and was reportedly a loving and hard-working father. On the night of August 9, 2013, he disappeared and was never seen again. When he arrived home that evening, Ladessa claims the couple got into an argument. Brandon had failed to return home the previous night and had recently started using drugs again. He had a history of substance abuse problems, particularly with methamphetamine, and Ladessa was frustrated by his relapse. During the argument, Brandon left the house in a rage, intending to drive to his father's home more than 3 hours away. However, he ran out of gas along the way. He called Kyle and told him he was stranded on Highway 227 near Bronte, Texas, asking if he would come and help him. He also made some disturbing claims, saying that some men were attempting to chase him out of town, though according to Kyle, it was hard to make out exactly what Brandon was saying due to poor cell phone reception in the area. Assuming drugs were contributing to Brandon's state of mind, Kyle grabbed a gas can and started driving towards the location of his brother's truck. When he arrived, Kyle found police parked at the scene. They had been called by a passing motorist who had been alarmed by the way Brandon's truck was abandoned. The vehicle's back end was partially blocking the road, and all of the doors were unlocked. The police said there were no signs of a struggle, but that the truck had been empty when they arrived. Brandon was nowhere to be found. While it was unknown to both Kyle and the officers at the time, Brandon had made a frantic 911 call shortly after the phone call with his brother. In it, he described being chased by several men in a field and appeared to fear for his life. When he was asked if he needed an ambulance, Brandon had shouted that he needed the cops right before the line went dead. It is unclear why officers were not dispatched to the area as a result of Brandon's 911 call. It is possible that it had something to do with the call's poor quality due to the reception in the area. Despite numerous searches of the land involving the use of police dogs, infrared cameras, and planes to search from above, Brandon was never seen again after that night. Though the disappearance has sparked several theories in recent years, none has led to any definitive answers in this case.
On September 5, 1982, 12-year-old Johnny Gosch set out on his morning paper route in the suburb of West Des Moines, Iowa. He left the house before sunrise, opting to take the family dog with him instead of waking up his father. Johnny was seen by multiple people at the newspaper drop that morning, where he collected that day's edition of the Des Moines Register for his route. Around 6 a.m., John and Noreen Gosch began getting calls from neighbors along their son's route, complaining that they had not received their papers. When John went to investigate, he quickly found his son's wagon of newspapers, just a couple of blocks from their house. Johnny was nowhere to be found. Startled by this, John immediately called the local police department and reported his son's disappearance. However, the police told the parents that Johnny could not be classified as a missing person until 72 hours had passed. When an official investigation started, witnesses told police they observed Johnny talking to a man on the morning of his disappearance, though gave slightly different information. One witness said the man was in a blue two-tone Ford Fairmont with Nebraska license plates. Another witness also recalled seeing a blue car, but believed that the license plate was from Warren County, Iowa. The second witness also described the encounter between Johnny and the unknown man as strange. Additional reports detailed tires screeching in the area around the time of Johnny's disappearance, and possibly a second man in the car. It is believed that Johnny was kidnapped by the unknown man or men after they pretended to ask for directions. The last widely reported potential sighting of Johnny Gosch was several months later, when a boy was seen screaming for help in the parking lot of a convenience store in Oklahoma. He was immediately grabbed by 2 men and taken away. Though the boy's identity could not be confirmed, Noreen Gosch believed it was her son. After that, the investigation failed to turn up any significant leads. Instead, appeals to the public were made for assistance in the case. Like in the kidnapping of Eitan Patz, Johnny's photo was one of the first to appear on milk cartons across the United States. Noreen and John, who had been widely critical of the slow police response in their son's disappearance, hired their own private investigator. The details of the case would also become significantly stranger from there. Noreen was told by the private investigator that Johnny had been abducted as part of a child trafficking ring. allegations of a global conspiracy emerged, involving satanic rituals and connections to the CIA, military personnel, and politicians. Though this has become a staple of conspiracy theories in the modern era, the accusations were relatively novel for their time, and would become part of the broader narrative of satanic panic that spread like wildfire throughout the 1980s. In a final bizarre twist in the case, Noreen Gosch claims she was visited by Johnny several years later. She says that in March of 1997, she heard a knock at her apartment door around 2:30 in the morning. When she answered, she was greeted by her son, by that time 27 years old, who was accompanied by another man. Johnny showed her a birthmark on his chest to confirm his identity, and told her he had been discarded from the child trafficking ring when he was too old, but still felt it was unsafe to return home. However, authorities were unable to confirm Noreen's account, and the encounter is disputed by Johnny's father. To this day, the case of Johnny Gosch remains a tragic mystery. That brings us to the end of our list. Are there any other mysterious missing persons cases you think we should know about? Tell us about them in the comments section below. As always, if you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.